All right, so let's begin. So we want to start by just settling in, getting mind and body together. And then I say a couple prayers to all the lineage masters to send their blessing so I can transmit the Dharma properly. So you my friends here and on YouTube. And Sanda Samgarab Shiri Sen Pamakara Jabani Shuna, so soon not to drink a sauce, but then one of my so wilder. Umi Chiki, keep portraying to some singing thinking or one air and sunshine and soon to say that. So we may shut us go up. So we're going to begin, as we always do, with our bodhicitta motivation. Bodhicitta meaning the literal meaning of bodhicitta is awakened mind or awakened mind heart. And the definition is the wish to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. So you three should be able to recite that by heart with all the times you've heard me say that. And a couple of you on YouTube also. So what that means is that everything we do on this path, from any kind of positive act that we do to studying, to practicing, reflecting, etc., is meant to be done for the benefit of others. Yes, we want to attain enlightenment because we want to be free of suffering. That's the point. Yeah, we want to be free of suffering. But mostly we aim to have as our motivation freeing others or helping others to free themselves from suffering. So that's bodhicitta. If that seems like too foreign of an idea, maybe, or too big of a project, let's say, we can just think, may the time we spend together this morning benefit not only ourselves, but others as well. Okay. All right. So since nobody has any questions, I'm going to just talk about compassion this morning. Excuse me. Pardon me. Okay. So compassion is an extremely important aspect of the Buddhist path. It's related to bodhicitta that I just discussed. Sometimes it's mistakenly used interchangeably with bodhicitta, but it's really not the same. So bodhicitta begins with compassion, right? We see the suffering of others, all the innocent people and children are being starved and bombed in Gaza, for example, and it hurts the heart, and we really want them to be free of this horrible suffering. And that is compassion. That's the compassion that arises, right? And then the difference between ordinary compassion and bodhicitta is that bodhicitta is compassion like mixed with wisdom. The wisdom aspect is the aspect that understands the cause of suffering, right? So unless and until we eradicate the cause for suffering, there's always going to be suffering, right? It's just like if you go to the doctor with, a lung problem and she tells you, hey, the reason you have this lung issue is because you're smoking 2 packs a day, You got to stop smoking 2 packs a day. And unless you stop that, you're always going to have this issue. So that's bodhicitta. When we attain enlightenment, we get rid of the cause of suffering, which is called marikpa in Tibetan. It's a kind of really deep, fundamental, kind of almost all pervasive ignorance about the nature of reality, the nature of, how things work and how our own actions serve to kind of create our reality, right? And a fundamental misunderstanding about the nature of the self, yeah, which then leads us to act in negative ways, which then cause suffering. So as long as we're not getting to that point, we're going to continue to have these issues because we keep creating the causes, right? Santideva, who wrote this really marvelous text called The Way of the Bodhisattva, okay, it's so beautiful. And it's just all, trying to get that in focus there. It's all about compassion. This whole book is about compassion. And it's really gorgeous. It's written in verse. It's just lovely. So I highly, highly recommend this book. Honestly, if I could recommend only one book, it would be this. Um, and Shantideva says, something like in a more poetic way than I'm about to say, but he says, beings hate to suffer, but they love its causes, right? So what does that mean? We don't want to suffer, but we want to give into our anger. We don't want to suffer, but we want to give into our jealousy. We don't want to suffer, but we want to steal things and kill people and all this kind of stuff, right? Which just we think is going to bring us happiness. This, again, really big misunderstanding. We think, probably not, consciously, but somewhere this any and every act that we do is with the aim of attaining happiness and avoiding suffering, even negative acts. Yeah. We feel some kind of great discomfort. And so we put it together somehow in our head that if we slap this person across the face, it's going to get rid of that discomfort. Okay. But all that does is create more negative karma for ourselves and more problems in the end. So this is kind of something that we need to understand. So since bodhicitta begins with compassion, then I just want to talk about compassion today. So we have at least that foundation. Okay. So how do we develop compassion for others? Yeah. It's really easy to say, thou shalt have compassion, right? But it's not very easy to have that if it's not something that you just naturally have. And some people do. I'm not one of those people, but I have seen them who just kind of seem to naturally have this kind of compassion. And when we talk about compassion, we don't mean just compassion for people we see as the victim or little puppies and children, right? That's easy. Like, yes, of course, we're going to have compassion for them. It's a kind of radical compassion in a way where we also have compassion for the perpetrator. And that's really can be very difficult. Yeah. But it is easy once you kind of understand the big picture of that particular aspect. Yeah. But we might talk about that later. So, so how do we develop this compassion? So we have some obstacles that we need to work with if we're going to be truly compassionate. Okay. And one of those, perhaps the main one, is that we have this very entrenched habit of thinking that we're more important than others. Okay. Now, if I asked you, oh, hey, Eileen, especially her, do you think you're more important than everybody else? Of course, you would say, no, of course I'm not. I just spend my whole life serving others. I'm practically an angel, just descended from heaven. I know to be true. Um, but And we probably all kind of feel that way about ourselves. I mean, I'm exaggerating, of course, but it's like, I'm a nice person. I have compassion. But it's not like to say that we think we're more important than others. It's not like that we're some kind of raging maniac, kind of, going through life with a knife in one hand and a gun in another, and just, it's just these almost instinctive habits, these like automatic habits that we have of putting ourselves first. So, you know, um, the example I usually give is, if you're in the grocery store, right, and you're really tired and you've done all this shopping and you've had a long day and your cart is full and you just want to get out of there. And so, of course, like we all do, we look for the shortest line. Sometimes the shortest line is the longest line, right? There's some old lady writing a check, or there's somebody who doesn't have the money or wants to put something back or wants to get something, et cetera. But anyway, we're looking for the shortest line. And out of the corner of our eye, we see somebody else with a full cart going for the same line. Okay. What do you do? Right? We start to walk faster. It's not like we get out a gun and shoot that person, right? We just are like, just a little bit faster because we want to get there first. It's not that we hate that person, okay? It's not that we want them to suffer. It's just that we don't want to suffer. And so they're not, we don't even see them as a person, really. We see them just as an obstacle to getting what we want. So we rush forward and we get there first if possible, okay? That action in and of itself, nobody could say that's evil. You're going straight to hell for doing that. Okay. It's not that big of a deal. It's just an indication of that habit that we have. And that's a really small example. But that example, if we start to pay attention, we'll see that it permeates our life, actually. If somebody calls us at an inconvenient time, even if we know that person is suffering, they have depression or they're sick or they're in the middle of a divorce or something, and we don't want to talk to them, we're just like, I don't have time for this right now. And we don't pick up. That's putting ourselves first. Okay. Or, we cheat on our spouse or our partner, right? Because, oh, there's this nice piece of candy at the office, and I'm bored with this one that I have at home. So, okay. That's putting yourself first, definitely putting yourself first. So, all of these kind of things, so we can start. And it's a complete lack of compassion and empathy and thinking of others. Okay. So we can start practicing these things, developing a different habit by starting with these really small things that are not so difficult, like letting somebody go in front of you in line at the grocery store, right? Or picking up the phone when you don't really want to pick up the phone, or donating money to a good cause when you're feeling a little pinched yourself, Just these small things can get us a little bit more brave, a little bit more courageous to do the bigger things, to really deeply care about somebody else. Okay. So we think we're more important than others. Our nearly instinctive response is to protect ourselves, even at the expense of others. Okay. But we can loosen up this habit. So another obstacle to developing compassion is we can find it hard to empathize with others. Okay, so it's a sign of to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes. Okay, and a great deal of empathy can arise when we experience the same trying event. Okay, so like we might sort of intellectually understand what it's like, that it's a painful and terrible thing for someone to go through cancer, for example. Okay. But if we get it ourselves, then we really understand and we can really empathize, right? Can really empathize with others at that point, and that's why you see sort of these foundations and stuff that can arise from people's own suffering, because they suddenly really want to help everybody else who has this particular problem. Now, you know, ideally, we don't need to wait, like the Republicans, for something to happen to us in order to have empathy. We just have empathy because we're good people and caring people. But even if we have that kind of empathy for someone else having cancer, for example, it's just naturally going to be deepened if we have that same experience. Okay. So if we, by studying, reflecting, and meditating on compassion, that can give us that same sense of great empathy for all beings. Okay. So another, like an approach that we can use to developing compassion is intellectual, which is kind of, we normally don't think of it that way, right? Compassion seems a kind of flowery, touchy-feely, kind of groovy, idea, right? Very soft, very emotion-based, yeah? But the intellect is really important in this aspect, okay? We can use logic. Like in this book, Shantideva just has logical argument over logical argument. Why, for example, it doesn't make sense to be angry at others, or why it's important to develop compassion. It's not like, oh, if you really want to be sweet and have flowers falling on your head, you should have compassion. He's like, listen, dumbass, I'm telling you right now, that doesn't make sense, and here's why. Okay, of course he doesn't talk like that. It's a very beautiful writing, but sorry, Shantideva, I apologize. So he says, I am one and others are many. Clearly, the welfare of many is more important than the welfare of one. And we would all agree to that. We would all agree to that. Is it better for 100 people to die or one person to die? Right? We would say one person. There's that thought experiment that some of you might be familiar with, the tram experiment. You guys know that? Yeah. So the tram, in case anybody doesn't know, the tram experiment is kind of, you have these sort of, it's just a thought experiment, okay, where you have kind of two tracks, and there's a one person kind of working on the track that doesn't see the train coming, and on the other track there's like 50 people, and you have the ability to, you can't stop the train, but you can direct it one direction or the other. Okay. And everybody would choose to direct it at the one person rather than at the 50 people. Okay. It's just that thought experiment that proves that out, that this is what we see as just. Although I must say, I saw this really funny, like one panel cartoon of like a little girl, and it's clear like that's the experiment, but she makes it a loop so the train kills everyone. It's so good. I mean, it's so bad, but come on, it's really funny. So we don't want to do that. Okay. So, or we can consider all the ways that we're connected. Yeah. If we feel a connection with others, if we feel in community with others, we're more likely to have compassion for them. It's easier. I mean, we see that all the time. We want to protect our friends, our family, our own little pocket, own community. And we have a tendency to feel like we're isolated, you know? Like we're just, especially like in America, we have this like rugged individualism kind of idea, right? But we're not at all, you know? We are connected in so many ways, um, right? We have, like Tugu Rinpoche often talks about how we're dependent upon others for just our day-to-day living, right? We have, we don't, most of us have like, even if we have a garden, we don't necessarily have enough food in that garden to feed ourselves, right? So we need farmers and, workers and truck drivers and store employees, and we need a job in order to have money, in order to pay for these things. We need some mode of transportation to get to the store. And I mean, I could go on forever about that, because who made the store, who designed it, who built it, Who made the electricity? Who keeps the electricity going? Who keeps the roads in workable shape, mostly, or in workable shape, right? You could go on forever. Who made the car or the bus or the train that you took, you know? So we really are reliant on countless beings just to get through a single day. Who made your clothes, you know? So if we feel disconnected or we feel alone, it's worthwhile, to consider these ideas. I'm not really alone. I have all these people supporting me, and I want to care about them too. And we can say, well, it's just their job, whatever. Oh, I don't care. Okay. Still be grateful for it, you know? Okay. Um, and especially now, like we're a global community. There are no sort of, for the most part, there's very, very, very few kind of remote villages where they don't know what's going on around the world, you know? So, um, right. Uh, So, one of the first steps to developing compassion is to recognize we're all connected, right? And then to develop a sense of empathy with others. Again, through both intellectual and meditational means. Like, this is something very fundamental in Buddhism. We don't, check our brains at the door here, okay? We're meant to and expected to and encouraged to doubt, ask questions, test it out for yourself, okay? And to use your brain to figure it out, to use your brain to logic it out, if you will. So, like, Songtsen Rinpoche says that um, studying is so important, and sort of getting the teachings, the meaning, the purpose, the understanding intellectually is so important to walking this path, because we're not always going to feel like it, right? The inspiration isn't always going to be there just from the heart, like, oh, I really feel like practicing today. Woo, like that's not always going to happen. Yeah. If we practice just when we felt like it, I mean, honestly, I can't even think of how little I would practice, you know, right? And I mean, it's not like it's always horrible or anything like that. It's mostly very pleasant, but, we need to try to make it consistent and something that we do every day. And we're just not going to feel like it every day. We're certainly not going to feel like having compassion to those who harm us. Like, that's never going to happen unless we study and kind of understand this whole process, right? So, even if, and again, like I said earlier, so I talk about this a little bit more now, everything anybody does, animals, insects, human beings, every single thing that we do is with an effort to be happy and to avoid suffering, right? If we drink some water, it's because we have the suffering of thirst and we want to get rid of that suffering. If we have a meal, it's because we're hungry or because we just like the taste and we want to be happy, we want to avoid suffering. If we scream at somebody, it's because we're suffering. That there, right? If we can connect with that and see that in ourselves, then we can understand when others are angry, that their anger is also coming from a place of pain. Okay. So this is how something like meditation, like mindfulness or breathing meditation, even that first, most basic kind of meditation comes into play. Because the more that we practice meditation, the more that we like watch our mind, the more that we learn how we actually function, the more we understand others. Okay. It's not saying like, pardon me, it's not saying like, oh, we're all one, you know, it's not saying that. But just like, and it's not like we all have Look, sometimes so many misunderstandings about Buddhism, but sometimes people misunderstand and they think that Buddhism is saying that we're all kind of one big consciousness. No, this is not the idea at all. Okay. Um, but we all function in similar ways. The heck is going on? Okay. So like my anger and Tristan's anger feel the same. Like I know what anger is, and he knows what anger is, right? So we both have the experience of anger. Now, I might get angry at, drivers on the road. I can be petty like that. And he might just get angry at big injustices in the world. Okay. But we both experience anger. Okay. So once we know what anger really is, what it does to our body, what it does to our mind, why we experience that, which is essentially not getting what we want, even for big things like injustices, okay? Then we start to see, oh, yeah, this is really suffering. Anger itself is suffering and is born of suffering. So therefore, we should have compassion for others who are angry, rather than judging them, yelling at them, wanting to run away, etc. Do you understand what I'm saying here? You? All right. So, and animals, they just want to be happy. They just don't want to suffer. You know, even a small animal like a ant. If you see an ant crawling across the table, and you just tap on the table, the ant will start to run. Why? Because they're scared. They don't want to die. They don't know where that's coming from, and they want to live, right? They want to be happy, so they run. They try to find cover. You know. So we can think just as I want to be happy and avoid suffering. So do all others. Okay. And this idea, if we can habituate our mind to thinking in this way, makes it very easy to have compassion for others, makes it very easy to put them first, to care about them. Okay. It's not easy, by the way, I have to say. And I mean, it's not necessarily easy to develop this kind of um, boundless or limitless, is really the aim, is to have limitless compassion, sometimes called the four immeasurables or the four boundless: love, compassion, sympathetic joy, and uh, impartiality. Yeah. But it's possible. Right now, our love and compassion is limited to those that we like or those that we love, or like I said, puppies and children, you know, okay. But we want to make it for strangers, people we don't know. And we want to make it for those that we don't like. And we want to make it for even those who harm us, to have compassion for them. Really, really super, super important point here is we're not saying that to have compassion for the perpetrator or to have compassion for the person who harmed us means that what they're doing is okay. It doesn't mean that. I see that misunderstanding all the time online. Okay. We're not saying it's okay. Yeah, do it again. Oh, you killed my neighbor. Come to my house. Kill me. Woo, let's have a party. No, we're just saying, like, yes, that person, if they're doing something very, um, like going around killing people, definitely they should be in jail. There's no question. You know, we need to protect people, but that doesn't mean that we hate them. That's the point. It's what's happening in our own heart. Okay. It doesn't mean also that if someone is abusing us, we have to keep them in our life. We're not allowed to cut them out of our life or leave or walk away or make them move out or whatever it is. No, we can do that with love or we can do that with hate. Okay. Having limitless compassion or compassion in general doesn't mean becoming a martyr. It doesn't mean becoming a doormat, right? We also have to have compassion for ourselves, not just for others. Okay. So please don't be mistaken about that. Okay. Um, so there's a great deal to really say about this subject, but I'm gonna end soon. So what can we do then, practically speaking, to bring about compassion in our own heart? Okay. One method is meditation. Okay. It might seem a bit disconnected, but it's really not. If we, like I said earlier, even something like mindfulness or breathing practice, which is the most basic meditation practice that there is, will help with compassion. Partly because, as I said, the more we see how we function, the more we understand how others function. And understanding, making that connection, makes it easier to care about them, makes it easier to have compassion for them. Okay. Oh, I know what it is to feel so irritated, and itchy and just, uh, that I want to yell at somebody or whatever, that we feel, oh, I'm so sorry that person's suffering like that. I know that pain myself, you know, or like, you know, there's a there's a gap between wanting, hold on, disaster averted. Okay. There's a gap between like wanting to be more patient, for example, or be more loving with passion, and being able to do it. Just because we have the idea doesn't mean we just click our fingers and now we never get angry and we're just super kind to everybody, etc. It's a process. It's something we have to practice. Okay. And meditation is part of that. Learning what's happening in our own mind versus what we wish was happening or what we want other people to think is happening, what is actually happening there. Okay. To see our mind in honestly, to look at it in an honest way. Right? We don't have to tell anybody or confess or anything like that. We can just say, oh, that could probably be better. you know, maybe I should try to make that a little better. Right. And then, so then we'll see in that process between sort of making the determination, like I want to be more patient, and actually being able to be more patient. There will be many, many times where we don't have control, right? And we're just watching ourselves in a fight with someone going, no, don't do that, right? Why did you say that? But we can't stop ourselves. So that is also a point where we can, or an opportunity for us to, again, have compassion for others. We can't always control ourselves, you know? These 8 verses, there's 8 verses of mind training by Langri Tangpa, says, one of the verses is, whenever I see an evil being overwhelmed by intense negativity and suffering, I consider them my sublime master. Okay. Whenever I see an evil being, so we say evil, he uses the word evil or it's translated as evil. It's not a word that we normally use. But you just think about somebody you don't like, so whenever I see that bastard, okay, think that way. Overwhelmed by intense negativity and suffering is the second line. Overwhelmed by that, not being able to control that. So right away, there's a compassionate aspect there. Okay. So, so meditation can help us to see our own mind and therefore through that develop compassion for others. And it can help us to really be more aware every moment. Okay. So like if you go back to that grocery store example that I gave, normally we don't even pay attention to that. We're just like so focused on wanting to get out of the store. Okay. We don't pay attention. We don't pause. We don't see it. We don't see that person as a person, none of it. We just blindly kind of go through that. After a while, meditation helps us to be aware of what's happening in our own mind. And so we can go, oh, wait, what am I doing? You know, and we can hang back and let the other person go in front of us. It sounds, I understand that it sounds kind of really unimportant and small, but it's not. It's really not. It's huge. It's huge because that's the first step of being able to do these bigger things. And this whole path has a very kind of gentle approach. Okay. So, meaning like we're meant to start small. We start small and gradually build up, you know, there's no like unreasonable expectations for what we're meant to be able to do. We just keep plugging away little by little. Okay. Okay. Another helpful meditation is meditation called Tonglen, or the practice of exchange. And this meditation is specifically for working to increase our compassionate heart. Okay. So we're not going to do that today, though, because, or maybe, no, we'll do that. We'll do a little bit of mindfulness breathing, and then we'll go into the Tonglen practice. Okay. All right. Okay. So what's that? Okay. So let's start with mindfulness of breathing practice. Okay. So if you're in a chair, you just want your feet flat on the floor, if possible, for a short kings and queens. I'm happy able to do that. Um, then if you're sitting on the floor or you're sitting in a chair, just cross your legs in whatever way is most comfortable for you. Okay. Hands can be palms down on your knees or palms up like that, resting one on top of the other with your fingers on top and your thumbs touching like that, whatever you prefer. All the other instructions are the same. So you want to make sure your back is straight. This is the most important thing. So that means the back of your neck is going to also be straight. So you're just going to tuck in your chin just a little bit. Arms are relaxed. Put your shoulders back a little bit. Okay. Mouth is closed but relaxed. Tongue resting on the roof of the mouth. Breathing through the nose. Ideally, the eyes are half open, looking down, relaxed, lowered gaze. If you can't do that, it's okay to close them. But over time, we want to practice meditating with them open because it's important. Okay. So this is the posture. So we're going to first just notice the breath coming in and out of your nose. So you want to just focus kind of at the tip of your nose, the end of your nostrils there. Just notice that sensation for a moment, and then I'll continue. Okay. So in this meditation, what we're going to do is try to maintain a continuous, relaxed awareness of that sensation of the breath coming in and out of the nose. And we're going to let the thoughts come and go as they will without running after them, getting involved in them, being distracted by them. Okay. So that means the thought arises, dwells, and disappears on its own if we don't interfere, followed by another thought. It arises, disappears, another thought, etc. Okay. So we want to just let those thoughts come and go like clouds in the sky and maintain that relaxed, open awareness of the sensation of the breath. When we get distracted, because we're going to at some point run after some thought, as soon as you realize, oh, I got totally distracted, no big deal. Just bring your mind back to the breath. It's as simple as that. So I'm going to ring the gong to begin and then continue with the instruction as necessary. how you can begin to count the breaths, counting either every in breath or every out breath for a total of 10 complete breaths. If you lose count, that's an indication that you got distracted. So as soon as you realize, oh, I don't even know what number I'm on anymore, again, no big deal. Just come back, bring the mind back, and start again at 1. You get to 10 without getting distracted. Don't let that fact distract you. Just start again at 1. So please begin that now if you like. And now we're going to move into the practice of exchange. So the first step is just to rest the mind. So we've been kind of concentrating the mind here. We want to just let the mind settle without necessarily trying to focus on anything and without getting distracted. So for the people here, I know on Zoom you can't hear it, but I will ring the gong for the people in the room. Just listen to the sound as long as you can hear it, and then let your mind rest. Now for this practice, if you want to close your eyes, it's perfectly fine. So begin by visualizing in your heart center, so the middle of your chest, a very bright white light like a shining star. And consider that you're breathing in gray smoke, hot, dark, heavy, through all the pores of your body. That smoke dissolves into the white light in your heart center. So there's not a single particle of smoke left. There's only light. Now you breathe out this white light, cool, clean, clear. very bright through all the pores of your body. Now imagine in front of you someone that you love a great deal. Just picture them facing you. They can be alive or they can have already passed. Just picture them there. And then really go into your heart and feel the love that you have for this person, how special they are to you or were to you, how kind. Feel the love they have for you also. Then bring to mind the way or ways in which this person currently suffers or suffered when they were alive. And don't just think about it, but try to really feel like, what is it like for them to have to go through that illness or that depression or that worry or money issues or grief or whatever it is they're experiencing. And just try to really feel that. What are they going through? Then naturally, because we love this person so much, it's easy to have compassion with them. We want them to be free of that suffering. And we don't really care what it does to us, you know. We're more concerned about them. So we imagine then that all of their suffering, whatever it is, takes the form of gray smoke, dark and hot and heavy, and it leaves them and it comes to you. And you breathe that in through all the pores of your body. And all of that smoke just dissolves into the white light in your heart center. Until there's not a single particle of smoke left. There's only light. And then you offer this person your own happiness, your own good fortune, anything at all that might make them feel better. And adding to that the wish that they attain full and complete enlightenment in this very life. And all of that takes the form of white light, cool in temperature, clean, clear, very brilliant and bright, light in weight. And so you breathe out this white light through all the pores of your body. And when these rays of light touch the person that you love, as soon as the rays of light touch them, all of their suffering just disappears. It lifts off of them and disappears. And they feel so relieved to be free of this burden. They feel really happy and peaceful. And you feel joyful for being able to do this for them. Now we're going to do the same process for all beings without exception. So first we visualize them all around us. In front, as many beings as we can conceive of, stretching all the way to the horizon. To the right, again, as many beings as we can imagine, all the way to the horizon. Behind, same thing, all the way to the horizon, and to the left. as many beings as we can imagine, all the way to the horizon. Now we're in the middle of a sea of sentient beings. And like I said earlier, the first thing we want to do is just consider our connection to all of them, right? In very simple and broad ways, like we all, without exception, want to be happy. We all want to be free of suffering. And sadly, all of us suffer nonetheless. So we generate compassion for all of these beings to whom we are connected in myriad ways. And we consider whatever kind of suffering they're enduring at the moment takes the form of gray smoke, heavy, dark, and hot. It leaves all of them and it comes to you. And with a great deal of love, courage, and compassion, you breathe that in through all the pores of your body. And all of that smoke dissolves into the white light in your heart center until there's not a single particle of smoke left. There's only light. And then you offer all of these beings your own happiness, giving it away, your own marriage, your own good fortune, anything at all that they may need to feel better, and adding to that the wish that they attain full enlightenment in this very lifetime. And all of that takes the form of white light, cool in temperature, clean, clear, light in weight, very, very bright, every single pore of your body emanating a ray of this gorgeous white light as far as the eye can see in all directions. And when these rays of light touch all these beings, each individually, their suffering just lifts off of them and disappears like fog in the morning sun. And they feel a tremendous sense of relief. They're finally being free of suffering. They feel really relaxed and peaceful. And you feel so joyful for being able to do this for them. Now we let go of the visualization altogether, gently bringing the mind back to the breath, using that sensation, keep the mind in the present moment, here and now. Okay. All right, so now we're going to do the Buddhist Sadhana. Mylene's going to pass it around. And I'm going to share my screen with you guys on YouTube. If it's not your jam, if it's not your cup of tea, it's totally fine to read. You know, it's okay. We don't have to, there's no forcing here. Oh, oh, you did the mantras. Look at you. Thank you. What's today? I think Amitabha today, huh? Let's see. Yeah, it's Amitabha today. I can't believe it's August 9th already. It's crazy. Where does the time go? All right, so this is sadhana is like a roughly you could say like a liturgy, for lack of a better word. I'm not really fond of that translation, but although it's pretty much the closest we have. So pardon me, it's a practice of visualization and prayers. Prayer in quotes is kind of a different concept in Buddhism. Um, yeah, I don't know what to say more than that. So this sadhana we do it both in English and Tibetan. I'll walk you through it. We also read the fine print here, so um, that's what we're gonna do. Okay? All right. So we begin with the first line just under the title. Namo Guru Shakyamunaye. In the Samadhi Raja Sutra, it is said, for all who, while walking, sitting, standing, or sleeping, think of the moon-like Buddha, the Buddha is always in front of them, and they will attain the vast nirvana. And his pure body is the color of gold, utterly beautiful in every way is the protector of the world. To visualize him like this is to meditate like the bodhisattvas. Accordingly, one should do the practice of remembering our teacher, the incomparable Buddha Shakyamuni. It is as follows. Begin by saying the prayers of refuge and bodhicitta and of the four boundless meditations. So this one we do once in English and twice in Tibetan. In the jewels of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, we take refuge until we attain enlightenment. By the merit of practicing generosity and the like, may we attain Buddhahood for the benefit of beings. Sangye chudon suki chonam la chanchu padu dani kyapsu chi dargi jiso kipe sonanki dola penchi sangye chupa shu. Sangye chudon suki chonam la chanchu padu dani kyapsu chi Rage jiso kipe sononki drola penche sange drupa sho. So the next prayer, same thing, once in English, once in Tibetan. We're going a little bit faster this time. May all beings come to possess happiness and the cause of happiness. May they come to be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. May they never separate from the happiness which is without suffering. May they come to rest in the boundless equanimity, which is free from both attachment to loved ones and hatred for others. Songtsen tamche dewa don dewe gyudon denpa gyushi dungel don dungel ki gyudon dewa gyushi dungel mepe dewa donpa don midra wa gyushi Nirin chadan nidan tawe tanyon seme kala nempa gyushi Semchen tamche dewa don dewe gyudon demba gyushi dunga don dunga ki gyudon dewa gyushi dunga mepe dewa don pa don mendra wa gyushi Nirin chadan nidan tawe tanyan seme pala nempa gyushi. Okay, so this next part we read once in English and once in Tibetan, and we read the small print. The nature of all things is that though they appear, they have no real existence. Reflect on this, and from that state, visualize the Buddha as follows. As a magical display, the union of the unborn emptiness and the unceasing manifestation of interdependent origination, visualized in front of one in the sky, infinite clouds of offerings, in the middle of which, upon a jeweled lion throne, lotus, sun, and moon, is the incomparable teacher, the lion of the Shakyas, the color of gold, endowed with the major and minor marks, wearing the three Dharma robes and seated in Vajra posture. His right hand is stretched out in the gesture of touching the earth. His left hand, in the mudra of equanimity, holds an alms bowl filled with nectar. He shines in splendor and majesty like a golden mountain, his wisdom filling space with the plexus of rays of light. He is surrounded by infinite retinues, hosts of exalted beings, the eight close suns, the 16 Shtaviras, and others. On those who so much as think of him, he bestows complete liberation from the two extremes of samsara and nirvana, the glory of supreme bliss. Visualize him as the great being who embodies all the objects of refuge. And we go back. I came a chompa ni ran tan jungi. Nang wang gap me sun ju gyu me su. Ran den nam ka che tri gyan su. Rin chai sen tri. Hey ni da wei den. Pa sun me sha kya senge I se ki do jen san dan pe che den se gu sun sun do je kin chu su cha yi san 上仰礼仰心，察言扬善对其能随，能随意离达，悉知偏帮。也谁人在朝离开，想念谁内天处中松。I saw so coi kim yong go xin zhen fa sang ki si shi ta ni le nan zhe de wa chou yi pen so 我将军之杯，战你全国山。If one visualizes the Buddha like this and thinks that he is actually there, then the moment one does so, wherever one visualizes him, there he will truly be, since the wisdom body of the Buddhas is not subject in any way to limits of space or time. For it is said in the sutras, for all who think of the Buddha, he dwells there in front of them. He continually blesses them and frees them from all evil. The merit accumulated through visualizing the Buddha is an inexhaustible root of virtue which will never be wasted. As it says in the Avatamsaka Sutra, through seeing, hearing, and making offerings to those Buddhas, a measureless mass of merit will grow until all the kaleshas and suffering of samsara are discarded. This compounded merit will not be exhausted. Whatever prayers of aspiration are made in front of him, they will be fulfilled. As is mentioned in the Manjushri Kaseta Vyuha, the teachings on the qualities of the Buddha field of Manjushri, all phenomena arise from circumstances and depend on the intention. Whatever prayers a person makes, they will accordingly obtain the fruit. Developing firm confidence in the truth of these teachings, recite the following. So this again, we do once in English and once in Tibetan. Out of great compassion, you took care of this world of degeneration and strife and made 500 great prayers of aspiration. You are praised as a white lotus. Whoever hears your name will not return to samsara. Compassionate teacher, I submit obeisance to you. The wealth and accumulation of merit of body, speech, and mind of myself and others I offer. Visualizing them is a Samantabhadra cloud of offerings. All the negative actions and downfalls I've accumulated since beginningless time, without exception, I confess each one with strong, heartfelt regret. I rejoice at the merit accumulated in the past, present, and future by the exalted beings and by ordinary beings. The wheel of Dharma of the profound and vast teachings, I request you to turn uninterruptedly in the 10 directions. Although your wisdom body, like the sky, remains without changing throughout the 3 times, according to the perception of beings who demonstrate earth and death, yet may you appear in the Nirmanakaya form forever. Through the merits I accumulate in the past, present, and future, in order to benefit all beings throughout all space, may I constantly gladden the King of Dharma and attain the level of the Conqueror, Lord of Dharma. Through your kindness, compassionately caring, especially for us unprotected beings of the degenerate age, whatever appearance there is of the three jewels in this world at this time is your enlightened activity. You are the only incomparable and sublime refuge. As I pray to you from my heart with total confidence, do not forget the great promise you made in the past. Care for us with compassion until we attain enlightenment. Now we go back to do the Tibetan. Ning che chen pe tsu den ni mei shi su ne ma nam chen fo la ya ta hei ga ta sen zhe chi mi do chen pa chu che chen la cha tsen lo da shen go sun ge so long chu che gen san chen he dream to be never to me ne sa di chu ma yu pa di kya pa tra pa so sha Ada so se ke wa ni du su sa la se su yi ra sa chi ga chi chu gi ko lu tsu cho chu gi ni che ba ko du so ni non ka cha bu ye she ku du su ba yo me ba shu me ki de che na ke ji su tun kyan tru he su ku ta de na wa su ra yi de su sa be ge so ki ta kya tro wa de Chögin Gampo Sadu Nye Che Chi Chö Yawe Gong Fan To Fa Shong Da Chan Yi Men Dong Fa Ge Me Na Chu Che La Pa Su Ri Ka Dri Le Ding Dang De De Rin Shan Non Su Ki Na Wa Ji Ni Ke Kin Chen Ni Dei Jian Kya Jo Su Chi Pu Du Yi Chen De Fe Ni Ne Su De La Ne Ki Ran Cha Chen Fu Ma Nye Wa Chan Chu Pai Du Tu Chen Che Sing Sing. Okay, so this next one, once in English, twice in Tibetan. Read the small print. Now, with strong, confident devotion, concentrate one pointedly on the form of the Buddha, thinking that he is actually there, and recite as much as possible the following: Guru, teacher, Bhagavat, Tathagata, Arahat, perfect Buddha, glorious conqueror, Shakyamuni. I submit obeisance to you. I make offerings. I take refuge. Lama Chompa Chomdende Deshi Shepa Chompa Yan Dapa Sope Sangye Pe Yewa Shakya Chubala Chat Seno Shodru Kapsu Chio Lama Chompa Chomdende Deshi Shepa Chompa Yandapa sobe sangye ben gewa shakya chuvana cham salo shode kyapsu chi o. Now we're going to read the small print just above and just below the mantra there. The first section just below the mantra, not the second sentence. Next, recite as many times as is appropriate this Dharani mentioned in the abridged Prajnaparamita as being the way to invoke the mind of the Buddha. Then recite as much as possible the same Dharani beginning from Om. During all this, concentrate one pointedly on the visualization with devotion, remembering the qualities of the Buddha. So what we're going to do here is we're gonna say 3 times beginning with Teyata, and then 3 times dropping the Teyata beginning with Om, and we'll finish the mala with Om, like more quietly, okay? Teyata Om Muni Muni Maha Munai Soha. Teyata Om Muni Muni Maha Munai Soha. Jayata Om Muni Muni Maha Munai Soha. 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 Om Mani 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 Soha. Om Mani 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 Soha. Om Mani Mani Maha Munai Soha. So we do this sadhana 3 times a month, on the rising half moon, on the full moon, and the waning half moon. Today's the full moon. So each of those phases of the moon are associated with a particular Buddha. Today is the full moon and it's associated with Amitabha Buddha. So if you look on your mantra sheets there, you can see the mantra that we're going to say, okay, which is Om Ami Dewa Shri. Okay. So Om Ami Dewa Shri, Om Ami Dewa Shri, Om Ami Dewa Shri, Om Ami Dewa Shri, Om Ami Dewa Shri. Om Ami Diwari. And I'll go back to the sadhana, please. So we're going to start with, so you see the mantra there where we just were. Then we said that first sentence. Now we're going to say the second sentence, and the next two lines there, once in English, once in Tibetan. Then consider that through the power of reciting the names of the Buddha and reciting the Dharani, from the body of the Buddha shines a great light of multicolored rays of wisdom light, dispelling all the obscurations of myself and all beings, perfecting the qualities of the Mahayana path, and establishing us on the level of non-returner. Tumpe kule yeshe ki sena tsope nangwa chimpu dada santan tamche ki dripa tamche sa shin Tepa chimpu nangki yunten sushi duke te chi mi dope sanam pa gyo. You go to page L7 at the bottom there. I'm going to say the Mangala offering, once in English, once in Tibetan. And we both times we say that little mantra at the end. The ground is purified with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned by Sumeru, the four continents, and the sun and moon. Thinking of it as a blessed Buddha field, we all pray. May all beings enjoy the happiness of the perfectly pure Buddha fields. Idam Ratna Mandala Kamiratayani. Sa shi buki drushi me totran. Rirab nishi ninde gampadi. Sange shinju me te kawaii. Broken namda china chubasho. Idam ratnam mandala kamiratayami. And page L9, the last four lines there. Again, once in English, once in Tibetan. The miraculous display of the unsurpassable wisdom appears as the intentions, deeds, prayers, knowledge, love, and ability of all the Sagatas and their heirs or offspring. Actually, sorry, may all beings become exactly like them. So I need to fix the text at some point, but we just try to make the language gender neutral. So normally we say offspring there instead of sons. Okay, so now we're going to say the closing prayers. I will share my screen again for that. Okay, so normally on Buddha days, we would say each of these long life prayers 3 times, but today we're just going to say them once for the Dalai Lama, and then Jigme Khyentse Rinpoche, Pema Wangpa Rinpoche, and all of our teachers. So these we're just going to do in Tibetan. Please try to hear my voice and sing along instead of contrary. Hanri wawe kowe shinkan su pendan de wa malu juwe ne Chene si won ten sing jam so ye Shape ge ga ba tu ten ge shi Om swasti jigme kempe kalong yambaru Kungab se chen se bum dawa Nidro den san ke no bu cho Seche gawe shakim tasu so. Om swasti sela gyam surchin tunjune. Lunsin dakse gyutru pemawa. Sansu nadre gyopo chatene. Lachen ten de shaitan dage sho. Lama kungan sampo sowade. Sutu kuse ringwa sowade. Trine tashi gepa soade nama dandre wa me pa chingi lo. So now on this page, we say this first prayer once in English, once in Tibetan, remaining 3 just in English, and then we say the 100-syllable mantra together. By this merit, may all attain omniscience, may defeat the enemy of wrongdoing, from the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of cyclic existence, may I free all beings. Sunam de tamche sipani, tone gepe tranam pamche shi, kegana chi balun chupai, sipe sole droa droa sho. May bodhicitta, precious and sublime, arise where it has not yet come to be, and where it has arisen, may it never fail, but grow and flourish evermore and more. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain. Until then, they are to remain and dispel the miseries of the world. Ever absorbed in the display of divine forms and primordial awareness, appearance, sound, and perception in the state of divinities, mantras, and dharmakaya, may I, inseparable from the practice of the profound and secret great yoga, attain within the essence of mind the state of one taste. Om Vajra Sattva Samaya Manubalaya Vajra Sattva Tenopa Tishta Drito Me Bhava Suto Kayo Me Bhava Subho Kayo Me Bhava Anurato Me Bhava Sawa Siddhi Me Prayata Sawa Kama Sutta Me Chitam Shriya Guru ha 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 ho Bhagavan Savatata Gata Vajramame Munsa Vajrivama Samaya Sattva. So before I let you go, I just want to say a couple of things. First of all, thank you so much for coming this morning. And I apologize about not having a newsletter. I'm trying to get back into the game. So I will do so soon. And just a reminder to everybody, every Saturday we have meditation from 10:30 to 11:30. It's always on YouTube. And the second Saturday of every month, it's also at the library. We do have new classes coming up in September, so keep an eye out for that. And if you are able to donate, we would really appreciate it. We still need, money to function. So, and it's considered extraordinarily meritorious to support the Dharma. So, if you're able to do that, here there are some QR codes back there, and on YouTube, you can find links in the description box below to the newsletter, to donations, to our website, etc. We very, very much appreciate you and appreciate that. I also just want to put in a plea for, I don't know what people believe in any way, but if you pray, it would be really great to pray for peace for the people in Gaza who are who are the victims of genocide at the moment. So, and also for the perpetrators of that atrocity. The U.S. is heavily, heavily involved in this horrific event, to the tune of 70%. So 70% of the money that's going to this genocide is coming from us. So we're not us personally, but I mean, our country is very, very involved in this horror. So please, if you can, I don't know what you can do, honestly, donate. I don't even know where to donate, honestly, but I'm sure you can. Sorry, call your senators, yes, call your representatives, and put some pressure on to stop this horrific atrocity that's happening there now. So, and I mean to end with a downer, but we need to put our efforts towards peace. It's too much suffering, it really, really is. So not just there, of course, all over the world, but particularly there is quite difficult right now. Okay. All right. Also today's Buddha Day, Eileen very, very kindly. Thank you. Also, I want to say thank you so much to Eileen for being so consistently reliable and helpful and setting this place up when we're here in such a beautiful way. She brought offerings, so typically we share them amongst each other. So please take whatever you like from there, share it with your friends, give it for yourself, give it to the animals if it's not bad for them, etc. Okay. All right. Thank you, YouTubers, for coming as well. And we'll see you guys next Saturday, and some of you I'll see before that too. Okay. Thank you. Love you. Ciao.